It's been nearly 3 years since we first entered Cyberpunk 2077's Night City, and a lot has changed. While it may have started with a pained launch, CD Projekt Red has continued to make huge updates and improvements to shape Night City into what it is today. And now it's received its biggest overhaul yet with the free Cyberpunk 2.0 update and the $30 Phantom Liberty expansion. If it's been a while since you've cruised the neon-drip streets of Night City, then here is a handy refresher. In this video, we'll rehash some of the basic mechanics of Cyberpunk 2077 and clue you in on some of the best features that have been released since you've been away. Here are 11 things you need to know to reintroduce yourself to the world of Cyberpunk 2077. Night City and its surrounding regions are huge, but don't forget that there is a fast travel system. On your map, you'll see blue fast travel nodes scattered around that will enable you to jump from one area to another. You can't teleport straight to these, however. You'll instead need to run up to your closest one and interact with the terminal, which will then open your map and allow you to select one you'd like to fast travel to. The skill trees are completely reworked in Cyberpunk 2.0, but the way you level them up is mostly the same. First, you have your character screen. Here, you'll gain attribute points from leveling up. You can then spend those attribute points on one of 5 different categories. Leveling up each attribute comes with a passive bonus. Intelligence gets you more RAM slots for hacking, technical ability increases your armor, reflex and cool will raise your crit chance, and body increases your max health. It's confusing, but you spend these attribute points on this menu screen. But you're not just increasing each attribute for those buffs, you're also doing it to unlock higher level perks. Each of those 5 attributes comes with its own perk tree, which is what helps build your character. For example, do you want to be a cool hacker? Then raise your intelligence to unlock essential perks in the skill tree. Aside from those perk trees, and by the way, some perks have multiple levels to spend perk points on, there's of course the brand new relic tree that you get from playing Phantom Liberty. But it's leveled up by finding relic terminals throughout Dogtown, Phantom Liberty's new region. And finally, make sure to keep an eye out on those passive buffs which come in the form of skill progression. Skill progression has 5 categories that are leveled from performing that type of action. For example, when you use quick hacks on an enemy or objects around the world, you'll improve as a netrunner. You can also level up skill progression by finding shards. But just a reminder, there are no points to spend here. Skill progression levels up by performing those types of actions, and the buffs you get from them are passive. We remember being terrified the first time we saw the CYBERWARE menu. Okay, you know what? We still are. The options here feel nearly limitless. The bare bones explanation of CYBERWARE is that it's just your armor or gear now with the 2.0 update, with each component being a different part that goes inside of your character's body. It's internal gear, and thus can only be installed by a Ripper Doc, which can be found in most vendor hubs. Each of the 10 categories of CYBERWARE affects your character differently, but before you go on a CYBERWARE buying spree, you need to have decided which build you want to specialize in. For example, if you want to be a quick hacking netrunner, you'll need an operating system that has quick hack slots. Do you want to double jump? Make sure to give yourself some reinforced tendons on your legs. Some of the coolest CYBERWARE comes from the arm slots. This is where you can equip the deadly Mantis arms, the brutal Gorilla arms, or the sleek Mono wire. If you're playing Phantom Liberty, you can leave to go visit a Ripper Doc anytime after the opening missions.
We got an important call to make.
The main things you need to look out for are price, as CYBERWARE can get very expensive to purchase, and the amount you can wear. We'll get to how to make money in just a moment, but every piece of CYBERWARE will add to your CYBERWARE capacity, which will eventually cap out. Of course, there are a few perks and even other pieces of CYBERWARE that you can get to increase your capacity. Again, CYBERWARE is what sets Cyberpunk 2077 apart from most open-world RPGs. The way it works in tandem with the perks you've selected allows you to create some pretty insane builds. Be prepared to spend a lot of time here trying things out. You might be getting a little overwhelmed by all the different things you end up looting. Most of the items you get you can sell at a drop point. Kiosks that appear on your map and look like this. You can sell whatever weapons you pick up that you don't care about keeping, especially if they're common drops, and your inventory will show a junk tab where you can sell everything in that category. Since you'll be running into quite a few fights when exploring Night City, selling weapons and items will be the easiest way to make money. Even if you end up picking up a lot of junk items or repeat weapons, just remember that most basic weapons sell for around 2,000 eddies. If you end up looting some alcohol, don't be afraid to sell those, as they actually give you debuffs when you consume them. If your carrying capacity isn't up to snuff with all the loot you come across, don't worry about the junk items and focus on weapons and clothing, since those have the best payouts. The biggest thing to remember when looting a slain battlefield of enemies is that they will not be dropping their ammo. They'll drop their guns, sure, but their ammo just disappears into the nether. Luckily, gathering ammo hasn't changed, so there are still 3 ways to get it. The first is to look around while in a fight for ammo crates. They're pretty common and carry a good amount of ammo, and you can even use your scanner to look for the white ammo marker on tables and shelves. Next is to simply craft it in your inventory. Head to the crafting tab and scroll down to see all the different ammo types. You can craft rounds using just 2 tier 1 crafting components, which you should have plenty of. Finally, just buy them at the weapons vendor. Again, scroll down and spend some of those eddies to stock up. While you loot through different caches and enemy bodies, you'll come across items called shards that will automatically be applied to your inventory and stats. Shards come in all forms of upgrades, from credit shards, which will give you a decent chunk of eddies, cyberware capacity shards, which increases how much cyberware you can install, and carry capacity shards, which increases your carrying capacity for all the loot that you're finding. You'll also find shards which will give you discounts at shops, and shards that will increase your skill progression. You don't need to do anything to apply these shards as you come across them. As soon as you collect them, they automatically apply. One of the coolest things to do in Cyberpunk 2077 is to cruise the streets in your own ride. There are a few story moments where you'll be gifted a vehicle, but for the most part, you'll need to purchase vehicles to add them to your collection. Stealing a vehicle does not mean you own it. To buy a vehicle, head on over to the AutoFixer terminal that appear on your map like this. Here you can see a collection of cars that you can purchase to make permanent additions to your collection. The new 2.0 update also adds weaponized vehicles, but you'll need to do vehicle delivery missions for El Capitan before you'll be able to purchase them. The good news is, every time you complete a car delivery, you'll get a discount shard to use at the terminal, meaning some of the most expensive vehicles could end up being dirt cheap. And don't forget, to browse and summon your car collection, press and hold the V key on your keyboard or right on the D-pad on your controller. From here, you can select a car to summon and it'll appear as close to you as it can. You can also just tap the summon button and it'll call your most recently summoned vehicle. The 2.0 update made inventory management a lot easier and simplified what you have to pay attention to. In your inventory screen, you'll see your weapons, clothing, cyberware, quick access, backpack, crafting, and stats tabs. In the weapons tab, you can equip up to 3 weapons, whether they're all guns, melee, or throwables. Cyberware will show you the current cyber mods you have equipped on your system and allow you to look at your current quick hack abilities if you have a cyber deck that has quick hack slots. Speaking of cool inventory changes, one huge and very nice change with 2.0 is your quick access tab has been reworked and simplified. Instead of having to collect and manage the amount of health, inhalers, or injectors and grenades, you'll have access to any of the health items and grenades you've looted. So, if you've looted the MaxDoc MK.4 inhaler, you'll be able to use up to 2 at once, and instead of running out of that item, you'll see your health item icon reflecting a cooldown period before you can use it again. The same goes for grenades. You can equip any grenade you've gotten, and you'll be able to throw at least 2 at once until you have to wait for a cooldown to be able to throw more. In a world where most open-world RPGs make you find a crafting table to make things, Cyberpunk 2077 is a breath of fresh air, as all the crafting can be done anytime inside your menu. In your crafting menu, you'll find tabs for quick hacks, grenades, weapons, weapon attachments, tons of stuff. To craft items, you'll need to get your hands on crafting components or quick hack components. These come in tiers 1 through 5 and can be found everywhere when looting, or when disassembling weapons or clothing. To get more crafting recipes, search the weapons vendor. If you see an outline of a gun in color matching its rarity, that's a crafting recipe and not actually a gun. You can of course just purchase guns and quick hacks, but they are significantly cheaper if you're able to craft them yourself. Also, the crafting menu can be used to upgrade your weapons, so if you have a weapon that you absolutely love, you could just upgrade it instead of having to replace it. If you haven't played since launch, you'll be delighted to know that you're no longer stuck with that same character you designed in 2020. To change your character's appearance, head to the Ripper dock and tell them that you want to tweak your appearance, or head to your apartment and look in the bathroom mirror. Aside from that, they also added a transmog system for customizing how your gear looks. This comes in the form of outfits. So either head to the clothing store or the closet in your apartment and create some outfits that you'd like to wear. These don't alter your gear bonuses in any way, and switching out pieces of clothing will not change your appearance. And that should get you up to speed on your re-entry into Night City. For more on Cyberpunk 2077, make sure to check out our review of Phantom Liberty and all the biggest changes that have arrived in the 2.0 update. Also be sure to check out our growing Phantom Liberty wiki over on IGN.com. And for more on everything video games, make sure to stick with IGN.